Berg, and she's got a great idea for your Monday night dinner. And I was just saying to you, I love eating like this because it's a really easy way of just getting something really tasty and delicious.
Absolutely. Not only do we love eating like this, we love cooking like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my mum making this dish for us so much when we were younger. Everything just goes into a pan. It's full of flavour, loads of spices. I mean, I've got some chicken thighs and drumsticks here, so chicken on the bone.
Which also means you can't overcook it, really, can you? Because chicken breast can go really dry.
Absolutely. I mean, if you want to use chicken breast, you can add it towards the end of the cooking of the dish. So rather than starting with it in the pan, like I've got here with some potatoes and onions as well, I've put some olive oil in there. If you wanted to use chicken breast, just add them kind of half an hour.
This chicken is so succulent.
It is, isn't it? It's just, you know, it cooks with the foil for a bit, which I'm going to show you, you know, the cooking process in a minute. And that allows the chicken and the vegetables to steam. So, you know, we've got here, we've got the chicken, the potatoes and the onions. I'm going to go in with some spices. I've got some ground cinnamon, but you can also use cinnamon sticks, so you can be flexible with this. I've chucked that in. I've got some pulbibed. Do you remember those lovely smoky Turkish pepper flakes as well there? We've got some paprika that's going in. We've got some cumin. A lot of paprika there. Just chuck that in. I've got some oregano. And, I mean, look, you can measure this out. Obviously, I've got some measuring spoons here, but I'm being free with it all. Some salt and pepper. And essentially, that's it in terms of the spices.
Can I just have a look at that pepper stuff you were talking about?
Of course. And
What's
have
it
a little
called?
smell. Pulbibed, or also known as Aleppo pepper flakes as well. And they're slightly tangier, sweeter, smokier. I use it a lot in salad dressings, to top things with, to cook things with as well.
What else is sort of typical Cypriot food?
Well, typical Cypriot food, we've got meatballs called köfte, which are kind of, they've got grated potatoes in them, which gives them a lovely succulent texture. We use a lot of fresh coriander in salads. We use a lot of spices like aniseed and cinnamon, and we use cloves as well to infuse things. So we've got a real mix between like East and West, obviously, have drawn into this lovely little island in the middle of the Mediterranean, which gives it a whole unique cuisine of itself as well. But like you said, you know, you thought, oh, it's a bit like Portuguese food as well. And actually, there are elements, obviously, that have been drawn in from all over the world as well. Right, so back to this lovely dish. I've got some tomato puree, and I'm going to add that to some chicken stock that I've got here. So give that a little whiz, like that. And in a minute, I'm going to top that up. But before I pour that into the pan, just add these chopped tomatoes in here. And to not waste anything, again, something my mum always did when we were growing up, is to just fill up this can with the water so you get any excess tomatoes in there, going straight in. Pour that into here. And this stock is going to be carefully added into the tray. I'm going to give everything a stir, give it a good drizzle of olive oil now. Add some fresh bay leaves, some fresh lemons. Again, really typical ingredients when we're making kind of stews and tray bakes. We have lemons in there, we have bay leaves in there. So you can give it a little squeeze. Just add them to the dish.
And
like
again,
so.
really healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's nothing in there that's like, it's homemade, it's fresh, it's healthy, it's not fatty or fried.
No, and it's all homemade. You know exactly what's gone in. You know exactly what ingredients you've got going in there, what you're feeding your family, your children. It's also a really good one to feed a crowd with. So, you know, it's the kind of dish, it's that simple. You're now going to cover it with foil. Say if you've got friends coming over on the weekend and you've got a big crowd and you want to give them that lovely flavour of, like, you know, al fresco dining, like Mediterranean food, rather than, you know, standing over the barbecue if you don't want to do that, or you don't have access to the barbecue, then pop a couple of these trays in the oven, let them cook themselves, give your guests a glass of wine, turn it over, open it out, let it roast for the last half an hour, and it's absolutely perfect. You take it out. Like you said, you can't overcook it, Holly. You know, it stays lovely and tender and delicious. And actually, if you let it sit once it's cooked, it's even better, which you've got there. You know, the flavours really amalgamate together. They stew, they thicken, they intensify. And like all these dishes, when you reheat them the following day, they're just
always
as
better.
delicious. Yeah, just or better even, exactly.
How did you get... Did you teach music at secondary school?
I did.
How do you get from music to doing this?
I mean, your guess is probably as good as mine, but I started a blog, a food blog, and I had my child, my eldest child, and I thought there's got to be more to life than mashing sweet potatoes or vegetables, putting them in little Tupperware pots and freezing them, because I definitely don't remember my mum doing that when we were younger. I remember my mum cooking tavuk kebabı. Yeah, this is what we call it. It's called traditionally, it's called tavuk kebabı. She would make dishes like this, pop them in the oven because she was a full-time working mum, take them out, and that would be what we would eat as children. And now my children love these dishes because that blog started as a way of me saying, look, there's got to be more delicious food that I can feed my children that's nutritious, that's of my heritage, that's the way I grew up eating. And so the blog developed into something that I think over, you know, the past 2 years, especially where people have got a lot more creative in the kitchen, it's just allowed them to be a little bit more exciting, get involved.
Introduce you to new flavours and things.
Absolutely, and these are all supermarket ingredients. I do need to put this in the oven.
Go on, sorry. How long does that go in the oven for, then?
So this is going to go in the oven for 35 minutes. And I've got one here, because what we do once it comes out the oven, after 35 minutes, is we're going to take the foil off. So I've got a version here that's been in for 35 minutes, and the foil comes up, because what the foil does initially is obviously to steam. So you wrap it nice and tightly, and as you can see, it's steamed first, but it hasn't caramelised yet. So if I take this foil and just pop this here, it hasn't caramelised, and what we want is it to turn lovely and thick and juicy. So I'm going to turn these chicken pieces over, and then it goes back in the oven, uncovered, for another 30 minutes or so, and then you take it back out, turn the chicken pieces over again so it's skin side up for the last half an hour, and then you end up, in a moment, obviously.
So really, minimum hour and a half is what you're looking at.
Exactly, minimum hour and a half in total. And again, let it rest, so it goes back in the oven, uncovered, and then you let it rest. And I can't explain how important it is. I actually made this for dinner last night, and my children asked me what I was going to be cooking today. And when I told them it was this, they went, yes, we love that one. So they were happy to eat it last night, but they were also really happy that I was cooking it for you today. And the final dish should then come out looking exactly
like so,
like this. So
and that's when you get all those nice.
We've got those
potatoes,
lovely, yes,
crispy,
and those
yummy.
Lovely, crispy. I mean, if you look at the onions here, they're lovely and crispy.
They are
and
just so
caramelised. You've got lovely caramelisation on the chicken as well. And like I said, a fresh salad, a couple of trays of this if you're hosting, or if you're busy working, you come in from work, you want to put something in the oven. You could even prepare it in the morning, leave it in the fridge so that it's all ready in the tray, and then just pop it in the oven.
And in here?
Yoghurt, because another ingredient that Cypriots cannot eat, a lovely savoury meal with, is yoghurt. You've got to have yoghurt. A side of lovely, thick, set, natural yoghurt with a dish like this is just perfect.
Was that for dipping?
For dipping, for scooping, for spooning on, for eating on its own, mixing cucumber and garlic and mint and lemon juice and olive oil and salt with, and making jajak, whatever you want to do with it, just eat it with your meal because it's absolutely delicious. It's refreshing. So
Lovely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm
it's
so pleased.
absolutely gorgeous.
Delicious.
Love it.
For details of today's recipe and more delicious ideas from our chefs, download the free This Morning app.